Would you take legal advice from someone convicted of lying to police? What if that same person was accused of murdering their own child? Caylee Anthony needs no introduction. The duct tape, the 31 days of partying, the infamous not guilty verdict that shocked a nation.
Caylee Marie Anthony, the jury of your peers, having found you not guilty, murder in the first degree. At this time, I will adjudge you to be not guilty.
Now, over a decade later, she's reinvented herself as a legal advocate on TikTok.
I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011.
Complete with a paid newsletter and a brand new narrative.
But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her. I live it every single day.
But here's what makes this story so fascinating. Can someone with Caylee's past ever truly be believed? Or is this just another carefully crafted performance from one of America's most notorious acquitted defendants? Let's break it down, because this isn't just about Caylee Anthony anymore. It's about how far our society will bend for redemption and who gets to cash in on their own infamy. Welcome back to Bad, Bad People, where we deep dive into the most mind-boggling cases. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss any episode. The humid Florida summer of 2008 set the stage for a mystery that would grip the nation. On July 15th, Cindy Anthony's panicked 911 call pierced the Orlando afternoon.
4937 Hope Spring Drive. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl.
4937 what?
Hope Spring, HOPESPRING.
Her granddaughter Caylee was missing, and her daughter Casey's behavior had become increasingly erratic. What investigators initially treated as a missing child case quickly morphed into something far more sinister when they discovered the horrifying truth. 2-year-old Caylee hadn't been seen in 31 days. Casey's web of deception began unraveling the moment detectives started asking questions. She spun an elaborate tale about leaving Caylee with a babysitter named Zenaida Zani Fernandez-Gonzalez, a person who, investigators would soon learn, didn't exist. Her claim of working at Universal Studios collapsed just as quickly when security records showed no employment history. But the most damning evidence came not from her contradictory statements, but from her own white Pontiac Sunfire. Forensic investigators would later testify that her car's trunk emitted the unmistakable stench of human decomposition, so strong that the tow yard operator who seized the car reported it immediately. Inside, crime scene technicians discovered strands of Caylee's hair showing signs of decomposition, along with traces of chloroform, a chemical that had appeared in suspicious computer searches from the Anthony home. The evidence painted a disturbing picture, yet without an eyewitness or confession, prosecutors faced an uphill battle. As summer turned to fall, the case took another grim turn when Caylee's skeletal remains were discovered in December, just half a mile from the Anthony home, wrapped in a blanket inside a laundry bag. The duct tape found with the remains would become one of the trial's most hotly contested pieces of evidence. But in those early days, one thing became clear to investigators. Every new revelation about Caylee's behavior, especially during those 31 days, made her look increasingly guilty in the court of public opinion. The trial that began in May 2011 became a media circus unlike anything seen since O.J. Simpson. Prosecutors Jeff Ashton and Linda Drain Burdick methodically laid out their case. They argued Caylee used chloroform to sedate Caylee before applying duct tape to suffocate her, all to escape the responsibilities of motherhood. They highlighted Caylee's internet searches for terms like foolproof suffocation and presented evidence showing 84 visits to a website about chloroform in the months before Caylee's disappearance. They also pointed to her partying in those 31 days after the disappearance, the Bella Vita tattoo celebrating the beautiful life she allegedly wanted without Caylee. But Casey's defense attorney, Jose Baez, had a strategy that would shock the courtroom. In his opening statement, he dropped twin bombshells. Caylee had accidentally drowned in the family pool, and Casey's father, George, a former police officer, had helped Casey stage the scene to make it look like murder. Even more explosively, Baez suggested George had molested Casey since childhood, planting the seed that this alleged abuse explained her erratic behavior after Caylee's death. The trial became a battle of forensic experts. The prosecution's witnesses testified that the duct tape found with Caylee's remains matched a roll in the Anthony home, while the defense's experts challenged the validity of the chloroform evidence. George Anthony took the stand and immediately denied both the abuse claims and any role in hiding Caylee's death. His voice broke as he talked about finding his granddaughter's remains.
Absolutely. Every day from July 15th until the day we were told it was Caylee.
After 6 weeks of testimony, the jury took only 11 hours to reach their shocking verdict: not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter, or child abuse. The courtroom erupted as Caylee Anthony, who had faced the death penalty, collapsed in relief. The only convictions were for 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement, misdemeanors for which she received credit for time served during the 3 years she awaited trial. The aftermath was immediate and visceral. Protesters outside the courthouse screamed "baby killer" as Casey was whisked away. Legal analysts debated how the prosecution's overreach on the death penalty request might have swayed the jury, while social media exploded with outrage. This controversial acquittal set the stage for Caylee Anthony's most audacious move yet, her eventual attempt to reinvent herself in the public eye years later. The moment the courtroom doors closed behind her, Caylee Anthony disappeared from public view like a ghost in the Florida humidity. For years, she became true crime's most elusive figure, a woman who had stood trial for her daughter's murder, only to vanish into suburban silence. The world speculated wildly about her whereabouts while she carefully reconstructed a life from the shattered pieces of her notoriety. In rare glimpses over the years, a pattern emerged. Caylee Anthony kept changing her story. Her 2017 interview with the Associated Press revealed a woman still clinging to ambiguity. "I don't know what happened to Caylee," she claimed, her voice carefully measured. Yet this vague statement contradicted both her trial defense's accidental drowning theory and her own previous accounts. The interview raised more questions than answers. Why couldn't the one person who was there provide a consistent version of events? The truth, it seemed, remained as elusive as Casey herself. That is, until 2022, when she emerged from the shadows in the Peacock documentary, Caylee Anthony, Where the Truth Lies. Here, she dropped her most explosive narrative yet, directly implicating her father George in both Caylee's death and a lifetime of alleged abuse. The documentary showed Casey describing in chilling detail how George supposedly found Caylee drowned, then manipulated the scene and his traumatized daughter. Her performance was calculated, her tears perfectly timed. But was this finally the truth, or just another act? George and Cindy Anthony's response came in 2024 through an A&E special, where they subjected themselves to lie detector tests. The results suggested they were telling the truth when denying involvement in Caylee's death and Casey's abuse claims. Yet even as the polygraph needles danced across the paper, one question lingered. In a case built on lies, could anyone's word be trusted? This battle of competing narratives was about to take an even stranger turn, one that would prove Caylee Anthony understood the digital age better than anyone anticipated. March 2025 marked Caylee Anthony's most audacious public reappearance yet, not in a courtroom or documentary, but on TikTok, the modern coliseum of public opinion. There she was, staring confidently into the camera, introducing herself not as a defendant or a grieving mother, but as a legal advocate.
I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself.
The video was slickly produced, her demeanor calm and professional as she spoke about using her platform to help others navigate the justice system. The transformation was startling. The party girl, who once lied about working at Universal Studios, had rebranded herself as a sober legal commentator. But the devil, as always, was in the details. Her accompanying Substack newsletter came with a $10 monthly price tag for exclusive content, a monetization strategy that raised eyebrows across the legal community. The irony was palpable. The woman, once convicted of lying to law enforcement, now selling legal advice. Her parents' attorney Brad Conway didn't mince words. "This is pure exploitation," he told News Nation. "She's monetizing her infamy while still refusing to give straight answers about Caylee's death." The numbers told their own story. Within weeks, her TikTok amassed nearly 40,000 followers, and her videos racked up millions of views. The disabled comment section spoke volumes. This was a monologue, not a dialogue. Caylee Anthony had learned from her trial that in the court of public opinion, controlling the narrative matters more than the truth. Her rebrand raised disturbing questions about our true crime obsession. Were people following her for justice or for the spectacle? And as her subscriber count grew, one had to wonder what her next move would be in this carefully orchestrated comeback tour. Caylee Anthony's death remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in recent memory. Her remains were found in Florida woods in 2008, but the cause of death was never confirmed. Despite a high-profile trial and endless theories, the truth is still missing. Duct tape suggested foul play, but no prints were found. The defense claimed a pool accident, but it didn't explain the cover-up. Caylee's shifting stories, from denial to blaming her father, only deepened the mystery. Searches for chloroform and the smell in Caylee's trunk hint at something sinister, yet no single piece of evidence gives us a full picture. And those 31 silent days, still unexplained. Today, Caylee profits from the mystery, appearing in documentaries and on social media, while the real question remains buried. What really happened to Caylee? So, knowing all this, would you trust someone with such a suspicious past to guide you through the nuances of the law? What's your take? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more deep dives into cases that make us question everything. See you in the next video.